Matthew's message, August 3, 2014. With loving greetings from all souls at this station, this is Matthew. We have been asked about the speculation that the United States government had a hand in downing the Malaysian plane in Ukraine and the accusations that the Russian government did. Our colleagues in Nirvana say neither is responsible. It was the work of the Black Ops arm of the Illuminati-controlled faction of the CIA, the same force that is egging on the pro-Russian separatist movement in Ukraine. That faction, which operates independently of all government's oversight, respects no national borders. Wherever some citizens are dissatisfied with their elected leaders, the agents either instigate or exacerbate uprisings to heighten tension, implicate whatever national leaders would be appropriate, and help the dissidents obtain weaponry and supplies. Black Ops personnel, like the rest of the Illuminati, feed on negativity, and their means of refueling themselves is creating negativity-laden chaos, fear, death, injury, sorrow and destruction. The Illuminati's international network has been so severely weakened that they no longer are the overriding force they were many decades past, when they easily started 2 world wars, and in each profited handsomely by selling to both sides whatever was needed to keep the machinery of war going. Although their ability to start World War III and add to their ill-gotten fortunes never was to be, except in their deluded thoughts, they are nourishing themselves for the moment with the negativity of concerns about where fighting in Ukraine may lead, and high emotions about the plane tragedy and its aftermath. However, all of that must be put into the context of everything happening everywhere, and we ask you to imagine your world as a unique story being made into a movie. Let us ascribe screenwriter to the universal mind, since it has full vision of this epic film's ending amidst the marvels of Earth's golden age. And let us call you the publicists. You have been briefed on the story and how it ends so you can talk about it to whoever is receptive. You also are in the cast of billions, all of whom are given free rein to act however they think best fits the scenario at hand. So, behaving in accordance with respective personalities and characteristics, a few actors are ruthless in efforts to monopolize the scene while others strive for a team effort to serve the interests of all. Some members become angry about the way the story unfolds, others are pleased, still others are discouraged, and many in the cast are confused. Some actors behave unreasonably, others urge cooperation, so things can proceed smoothly, and as some rise in prominence, others fade. Some cast members feel their parts are too small, others feel theirs are too hard. Some think the film will be a success, others are afraid it won't be. Cast members die, newborns come into it. And, since each actor's main focus during filming is his or her part, it is only when the entire cast views the completed production that they can see why all of the roles were necessary to make this motion picture of unprecedented stature and scope. Perhaps that is a feeble analogy, but it is accurate insofar as the lack of awareness about free will and karma being played out, planetary and personal ascension, and a world in transformation. The vast majority of your population has no idea that volatility in Ukraine and the plane crash are parts of this transformative process. The public at large doesn't know that those heart-wrenching tragedies for everyone who lost beloved persons are experiences that they and their dear ones chose for soul evolvement, the goal of every soul, and it is the same with those who are involved in the militant aspects. This is true in most heart-rending situations, and we shall mention another that readers have asked us to speak about: the thousands of children from Central American countries who came unsupervised to the United States. They, the families who sent them there for safety, the individuals who led them across the border, and the people who are causing the violence in their native countries, are experiencing what they chose in soul contracts. It is true as well that not everyone who is dying or mourning a loss or is injured, homeless, and desperate, chose those experiences, and this is the case regarding the bloodshed and destruction in Gaza. There, just as in all other places where harshness and trauma exist and are not part of the affected person's contracts, divine grace steps in. All who continue to endure non-chosen circumstances, take leaps in involvement, and each person whose lifetime is cut short receives full credit for all contract provisions. Those who transition to nirvana rejoice about being there, and send a profusion of light to their beloved souls on the planet who are coping with the same kinds of difficult experiences. We know these truths, yet it is with profound sadness that we see so much strife, suffering, heartache, and killing within our beloved Earth family. We hasten to add that those moments are fleeting. The negativity of that intense feeling cannot linger in these high vibrations, and we are able to quickly resume beaming light to help you continue moving steadily toward the full brilliance of the golden age that awaits in the continuum. Because so few of your populace know what we have shared with you, prevalent feelings are grief, anger, despair, and fear of what may come next. The low vibrations of those natural reactions are being offset to a large extent by the light and aid, caring, and compassion streaming from all corners of Earth. Indeed, other civilizations are beaming massive amounts of light to the planet, but you on-site light bearers are exemplifying that love light is the only way to resolve all conflicts and end deprivation throughout your world, especially in unsettling times. Let your light shine. Worldwide, people are ready for the light. They may not know about free will, karma, and multiple lifetimes or spiritual and conscious evolution or the Illuminati. But they do know your world's history. Never have killing, placing blame, and taking revenge brought the lasting peace and cooperation among nations that people are hungering for. This is an appropriate place to answer, do countries accrue good or bad karma? No, only individuals do, and karma is neither good nor bad. It is a gift of divine grace so that embodied souls may have experiences that differ greatly from other lifetimes and attain the balance required for soul growth. However, souls choose to be born where conditions offer the experiencing they selected, and that may give the appearance that specific karmic lessons affect an entire country. Readers have asked why the United States government works against the people of that country instead of for them, and our view of the Republican Party's stupid lawsuit against the president, instead of taking care of what we the people need. The primary reason the United States government isn't more responsive to the citizenry's needs is that some members of Congress are Illuminati and others are financed, bribed, or blackmailed into voting as the Illuminati dictate. Of all nations you call industrialized, the United States has the most externally controlled government, the Federal Reserve System, multinational corporations, the medical profession, and its related industries and agencies all have a large say in what Congress does. In numerous messages we have spoken about the strong souls who agreed to provide the severe hardships that masses of souls needed to wind up third density karma, then those strong souls would join the light forces. Instead they became greedy and enamored of power and control, and they refused to honor their pre-birth agreement. Those individuals are the Illuminati, and their activities have set back progress by 10 years or so. Earth's ascension pace wasn't affected, but your society's was. The Golden Age Master Plan was designed so that when Barack Obama became U.S. President in 2008, your world would eagerly support his efforts to unite all peoples in peace and harmony with nature in accordance with Gaia's vision. The Illuminati-led offensive against that objective has been relentless. Even so, the light has shattered their international network and diminished the effectiveness of its remnants, while engendering the expansion of grassroots movements around the globe and increasingly successful behind-the-scenes negotiations. As for the lawsuit against President Obama, we see it as a neon arrow pointing to the country's serious issue that the Republican Party's most conservative contingent, the Tea Party, also limits the government's responsiveness to the needs of the people. This doesn't mean that those individuals are in the Illuminati ranks. Simply, they want the country run according to their wishes and philosophies. The other Republicans, eager to sweep the party to election victories in all the states, join with Tea Party members to vote as a bloc, and their voting record shows that often it doesn't coincide with what would benefit the majority of citizens. Now we shall do our best to comply with the request that we give a simple scientific explanation of light and how it affects a civilization. Light, which is the same energy as love, is the essence of Creator, source of everything in existence. Light is the most powerful force in the cosmos, the entirety of consciousness, the ingredient of souls, and the life force of every living entity. Even the peak of the dark forces has a spark of light. Otherwise, it would not exist. Light comes into this universe through its supreme being, whom you may call God, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, or any other name. And everything is universally connected by and within this energy. Therefore, spirit, which is considered faith, and science, which is considered fact, are one and the same, light fluctuating at one frequency or another. But let us return to the beginnings of all life throughout the cosmos. Creator's first expression of itself created the Christed realm and the first souls, the archangels. The realm itself and the archangels are pure light. At an unknown time, Creator endowed the archangels with the gift of free will and its companion, the power of manifestation, that is, they could use Creator's energy to make whatever they imagined, and in their first co-creational process, they made the next level of angels and gods and goddesses. Those souls also were pure light. At some point, the archangels had the idea of making physical forms for souls who desired it. That was the origin of DNA and the elements of bodies building blocks. Within the DNA were photons, which continuously absorb and radiate the light that produces bodies with crystalline cells that contain cosmic consciousness, and have the ability to live in the vibrations of the highest celestial planes. Eventually some souls whose negative deeds dropped them from the light, used their free will to downgrade the DNA of newer, less experienced civilizations. The changes made dense bodies with DNA containing electrons, which have much less light and vibrate at much lower frequencies than photons. The reduction in light caused corresponding reductions in those civilizations' consciousness, brain functioning, and lifespan. They lost all knowledge of their beginnings, their weakened bodies were vulnerable to disease, and their temperaments included fear and all of its negative byproducts like cruelty, greed, anger, lust for power, unjustness, impoverishment, divisiveness, and hatred. Hatred is not the opposite of love, it is the absence of love, or light. Those are the conditions of third-density civilizations. It is not that no bodies on Earth have photons, and an unimaginable quantity is in the atmosphere. But electrons are dominant in the vast majority of your populace, that is why they are lagging in awakening spiritually and consciously, and throughout your world, that is why you have electric and electronic appliances, and pay to use them instead of having photons-free energy. The way to ascend into planes where photons outnumber electrons is by increasing the amount of light in the collective consciousness. Energy is neutral. It is the thought forms that get attached to energy streamers that are positive, with light, or negative, without light. The forms are created by every being's thoughts, feelings, and actions, and collectively those determine a civilization's density, or spiritual and conscious evolvement status. That is one universal definition of density. The other is mass or the location of a mass, and the two don't necessarily go together. That is why Earth, a fifth density soul spiritually and consciously, can be in the initial stages of fourth density location-wise, and most of her people are at third density evolvement status. Animals and plants are absorbing more light than most of humankind. At this moment, the light in people varies from brilliant to just enough to keep bodies alive. Now then, every person and everything in your world emits vibrations in consonance with each form's consciousness level, and that is determined by the amount of light in each. The atoms in inanimate objects, say a pebble, football, nail and chair, have minimal consciousness. Exceptions are crystals and gold, which have a high degree. The consciousness level of soil is higher than objects, and so is that of slugs, worms, and short-lived insects. Higher on the scale are the species of insects that have a well-developed hierarchy and clearly defined working system within it. The plant kingdom has a very high level of consciousness. Trees have intelligence and emotions that few people would even consider possible, and extend far beyond the acorn that knows how to become a mighty oak, and the apple seed that knows how to bear fruit. Tiny flower seeds know their colors and whether to blossom for a season or flourish year after year. the generally unseen, therefore unknown souls in the Devic kingdom, who work hand in hand with all of nature, also are highly advanced consciously and emotionally. Humans and other high orders in the animal kingdom have the highest level of consciousness, instinct, intuition, memory, learning, and reasoning capability, and the widest range of feelings, but only humankind also is endowed with conscience and Creator's gift of free will. Although each living being and each inanimate thing serves a purpose in the evolutionary process of all, it is the human population that sets the pace. Whereas all other life forms on Earth operate within their respective innate guidelines that work in harmony with nature, people can choose to act in godly ways or not, to heed conscience or not. And their collective choices determine the civilization's evolvement status. As humankind evolves via the light in spiritual and conscious awareness, so do all the other forms on the planet, and the collective vibratory emissions advance the entire world. And, as a world advances, life becomes increasingly simpler and joyous. It is only in third density's lower vibrations that a civilization creates all the complexities born of negativity. Beloved brothers and sisters, we know that you want dramatic changes for the better and sometimes feel it's a matter of a step forward, then back. Your media emphasize the epic film's downside drama instead of the myriad successful achievements in villages, cities and countries around the world. And reporters don't know about the vital developments off camera. If you could view your world as we do, you would be astounded at the progress, the obstacles met and overcome, the learning, remembering you have mastered. We salute you, the vanguard of light bearers on earth, and surround you with unconditional love. Love and peace. Channeled by Suzanne Ward. MatthewBooks.com